This is the concierge, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Concierge Confidential. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and in today's episode, lots of stuff to go over. We do have a new owner, technically, of Caesars Entertainment, and it is the week before one of the best weeks in Vegas food, Restaurant Week. We're going to be talking about Restaurant Week for 2026 and some of the places that I sort of picked out, places that I'm going to highlight for you guys, the ones that I think that have maybe good deals. There's lots and lots of options, but I do want to just go over just a few in this particular episode because sometimes you got to know the basics of what Restaurant Week is and how to attack it. So that's coming up next on Concierge Confidential. Okay, everybody, so let's go ahead and dive into the episode. So, just diving into a little bit of news, Tillman Fertitta, the owner of the Golden Nugget, as well as the Houston Rockets, and then the Landry's Food Chain, which is the food chain that owns Bubba Gum Shrimp and a bunch of other restaurants. He is now, prospectively, the new owner of Caesars Entertainment, so the Caesars brand of casinos. Obviously, this would have to go through regulatory and all these other reasons, but it does help that he's already owned one casino before. They probably will have to talk about consolidation of a couple of different properties and that sort of thing. But this is interesting. This is very interesting news. They did note this on the news that, and then this is actually pretty well known, that he is part of the Fertitta family, which is quite big here in Southern Nevada, that essentially owns all of the station casinos, which are the local casinos in town. This is not part of that deal. And he also, the family also does lots of like philanthropy in the city. But no, he is actually separate from all that. So this will be his own company. Most likely you'll see Golden Nugget being sort of roped into a lot of the Caesars Entertainment stuff, but it's interesting. So someone who has a really good track record of owning casinos in Las Vegas. Some people are nervous that some of the brands inside of Caesars Palace will be, or Caesars properties will be changed to, a lot of Landry chains, but I don't see that happening too much. The thing is that the portfolio for Caesars restaurants is actually quite strong and is a very specific clientele and type of people that they're trying to attract to, Caesars in particular. They honestly have probably the strongest, depends how you want to rank that word strong, strongest lineup of celebrity chefs in the city across all their properties. They have Bobby Flay. They also have Lisa Vanderplump, which is more of a personality, not a chef. Giada, of course. They also have Guy Savoy. They also have, oh my goodness, how did I forget? They also have Gordon Ramsay, which is a huge name in the world of cuisine and popularity. So I don't see them having so many changes in terms of the food world. Probably in the executive suites, there'll be many, many changes. That happens a lot of times with these changeovers. A lot of times with these type of things, you're going to see lots of streamlined stuff. So it is. I don't see there being lots of layoffs on the sort of ground floor level because those people have been running, obviously, operations for a long time. But usually what happens is you get a lot of mid-management restructuring. So a lot of like assistant managers, maybe directors of a certain sort. I saw this happen at MGM in particular. This happened like before 2020, and we actually used to call it MGM 2020, or you got 2020'd if you got laid off or some sort of thing. This obviously was before we had COVID, so it totally took on a different meaning after that. But we had a lot of management directors get let go, and then a lot of directors sort of took on those responsibilities with no like rise in pay or anything, and that became sort of a thing that happened. So yeah, it is very nerve-wracking whenever you have somebody come in and buy your property or buy your essentially company, and a lot of people at the top and like mid-management are the ones that are very much in danger of losing jobs. So that does always suck. I think it just depends on the industry. I do think that in hospitality, sort of frontline workers are usually somewhat safe for the most part. Usually when you start seeing frontline workers getting laid off and like go is when there's a downturn in obviously the economy, because then that ripple effects to occupancy. And occupancy is really what manages all that. So occupancy is much more of a factor for frontline employees than these type of sales. It's very different when you get into like media, for example, because in media, it's very interesting that when you do have these like sort of mergers, that people at the very bottom, very new people, like, reporters, maybe editors, and then also people who are older, who have been there for a long time, have lots of seniority, or have very expensive paychecks, they get let go as well. So that one's more of a money thing where they're sort of like balancing the budgets there. But for hospitality, it is very interesting that mid-tier employees are the ones most vulnerable, even though it feels like they're usually pretty safe. But with all that being said, I am excited about the purchase. I am excited to see where a strong personality takes over. I do think that running a casino or running a hotel in Las Vegas, or hotel company in Las Vegas, because he is buying Caesars Entertainment, which is multiple properties. He might have to sell a property. It's a lot of things that go into the sale. But I think having a strong personality, especially in Las Vegas, is important, because that is like sort of, you are setting the tone for the rest of your property. This is a good example for places like Circa, which has Derek Stevens. Derek Stevens sort of sets the tone of what he expects from his employees, what his hotel's vibe is supposed to be. It's very important. You have obviously people like Brian Sofer, who owns Fontainebleau, which he does walk around property. I do have to say that owners that walk around properties, I know scares a lot of like frontline employees, because they're like, oh my goodness, the boss is here. But I actually get excited about it, because I see it as a chance to impress our presidents, our founders, our owners. And I find it exciting, and I think it's important that they're there, because they're able to see what's going on the ground. I think CEOs that get hidden in the C-suites are not good for hotels specifically, because hotels, you have to know, where the faulty spots are and why certain things operate the way they do. And I think the way you should do that is being on the ground. So do I think Mr. Fertitta is going to be, Tillman Fertitta is going to be on the ground every single day? Who knows? Maybe at the beginning when he, buys properties. And again, it's easier to look over one property rather than like 7 properties. Bill Hornbuckle, excuse me, is the one who owns MGM Resorts, which, it's very corporate. I believe his office is at the Bellagio, where a lot of the executive offices for MGM Resorts are located. I actually saw him once. My brother was getting a haircut at the Bellagio spa, and I was standing right next to him, and the spa attendant was very, very, very nervous. So yeah, it happens when they're in front of you. Yeah, that's the news. So that's big news. Big news. It's I think the largest or second largest employer on the Las Vegas Strip, which, is always very, very important news when it comes to Las Vegas. So with that, we're going to move on to Restaurant Week. Restaurant Week is one of the more exciting weeks in Las Vegas, especially for the foodies out in the world, except the ones on Instagram that get stuff for free that their friends actually own, and then give them free publicity because they're friends. Don't ask why. I just wanted to say it. So lots of different places you can go to. This is where you want to go. You want to go to restaurantweeklv.org, and that will actually get you to all of the restaurants participating in Restaurant Week, which is going to be from June 1st to June 12th, which is actually more than a week, obviously. So Just know that this starts on Monday the 1st, which is going to be this coming Monday. So this gives you time to plan before you hit the strip or local places at your favorite restaurants. So many different places on here, like Alexa's at Paris, Amalfi at Amalfi by Bobby Flay at Caesar's Palace. Lots of different options on there. I'm just like sort of throwing them out as I go through them. They are alphabetically ordered, which is nice. I went through and I didn't click on every single one, but I picked a few ones that I thought were interesting and I really wanted to check out. There are a few off the top of my head that I think are sort of, not worth it. So let's explain Restaurant Week. So Restaurant Week is put on by it's put on by 3 Square, which is essentially the nonprofit that helps, fight, hunger in Southern Nevada. And they put this on every single year and it benefits those people. How does it benefit? So for every dollar you spend, depending on like the price range of your meal, they'll donate like $5 to 3 Square. So anybody who orders off of this menu ends up help fundraise for 3 Square essentially. So what else to know about this? So this usually happens. They have a couple different price points. So they usually have like a breakfast, which is usually, somewhere in the like $40 range, $30 range. Then it goes up to $50 for lunch, and then $80 and $100, $120 for dinner. And the idea is that you're able to go and try these different places for somewhat of a discounted price. So you're able to get it at, sort of a discount. But you always have to think about, and I always do this, what you are getting, and then if it actually is a deal, essentially. Sometimes you don't care. Like sometimes you just want to go eat at a place and you don't care. But the whole idea of Restaurant Week, as somebody who participates in it, is you're trying to get the most bang for your buck, which you guys never hear me say that term ever on this podcast because I think it's overused. But for something like this, you are trying to get, the most out of it. A lot of times you end up paying the amount you would pay that if you would have got 2 items and got the third one for free. So that's why you always want to see, when you look through here, it'll say first course, second course, third course, sometimes a fourth course. And what is that extra course? Is it like an amuse-bouche? Is it an actual course? Is it just something like potatoes and onions that they have at, Peter Luger's? Don't know. So you do have to go through and check it out and see that there's something that you want. Also, I do not recommend when you do Restaurant Week is that you don't pay for supplements unless you really, really want to. And they're also not superly overpriced. Of all the places that I'm going to list, when I go through my list of places you should try, I think there's only one restaurant that I would pay the supplemental charge to have the item that is on the menu. So always keep an eye on the menu itself that it has the supplement additions. Also, when it first pops up, when you go to a specific restaurant, sometimes they will have notations. So it'll be sort of the first thing that pops up, sort of like a pop-up on a YouTube video. And it'll say, this will be served Monday through Thursday. Not available Friday, Saturday. So really, really have to look and focus on those before you make your reservation. Because you don't want to go on a place that on Friday that doesn't offer it. So just keep that in mind as you're going through the menu. So lots of restaurants, lots of local places. You can certainly go through and pick out your favorite local spots. They'll usually provide a lot of good deals. So highly recommend that. But today we're primarily going to be focusing on places that are on the Strip and some of the larger options here in town. So let's go ahead and get into the menu. So let's see here. Did I go over everything I wanted to with the menus? I believe I did. So one that I would actually recommend that I think actually is pretty good value. I do have a favorite, which I'll do after this one. Which pretty good value is Karma by Wolfgang Puck over at Mandalay Bay. Why do I think this is a good option? It is $80 for a 4-course dinner. You do get things like big eye tuna, A big eye tuna is the appetizer. Bronzino, Jandori chicken. They have like a Wagyu sort of pasta, and then obviously have the gelato as well. They do have multiple options. These are just sort of like the big ticket items that I saw on here that make it worth it. That you're like, oh, like that sounds like, something that I'd really want to try. And the big ticket items, because they're sort of big ticket hunting for any of these restaurant week items. Like, you don't want to go and like just have a Caesar salad. Like, you want to have like something that you think would be pricier, so it makes it worth it in the end. So Karma, that's at Mandalay Bay. They've actually redone it. It used to be a different Wolf Cake Puck restaurant. Totally forgot the name, but redone. I haven't eaten there I haven't eaten there in its new iteration, but the pastas are usually quite good. So let's move on to another one, and this one is probably the one that I would want to try the most, and I think it's interesting after looking at the menu again. But this is Bar Bohem. Bar Bohem is located over at the Arts District. Beautiful, beautiful restaurant. Very high standards by the bartenders, because I've actually heard the bartenders talk to the servers, and it was like, wow. It wasn't like another level. But beautiful restaurant, great for dates, really fantastic for dates. It's on the corner of Main and I forget the other cross street. But you look out, it feels like sort of a brasserie in France or like in New York. And, you look out to the street, obviously. Beautiful restaurant, very high quality, really, really good wines. And they also have a really fantastic bar, which is called Petite Bohème, which specializes in sort of gastronomical cocktails, which is, semi-connected to the restaurant. Almost speakeasy-like. But Bar Bohem does offer 4 courses for $80. They actually have... So I went in there one time, and I think they were sort of experimenting with if they wanted to do a prefix dinner or if they wanted to give the option of a la carte. Looking at the menu, it does look new, and I believe they went to they still have a la carte items, because it was tough. I think it was going to be hard for them. I think it was good for them financially if they did prefix, but I think once people saw that, locals get scared with big ticket prices out of the gate. They'll do it, but not like that. So I think they had to sort of scale it down a bit. So what they have, so it's an $80 dinner. They just do dinner. And this would be, the first course would be canapes, chef's choice. They also have a second course, which will offer escargot. They have a fine herb salad, a tuna tartare for $5 supplement. That's not too bad. It says ratatouille, which that's kind of interesting. But $5 supplement, which is not a terrible price for adding something like tuna tartare to the menu. I would just do the escargot because I've tried them before, and they're basically just butter. Nuggets of butter. Their third course, this is where the heavy hitters come in. Their third course, where they have gnocchi alla pristini. It's mushrooms, melted leeks, very, very vegetables. Trout, they do have trout. Very interesting choice. They also have an 8-ounce bavette steak with frites or fries. And this is what I would come here for, and the reason that it's made my list, and it is their beef bourguignon. Their beef bourguignon, which you can't really get anywhere else in Las Vegas. This whole Julia Child's French dish, the art of French cooking. It's red wine, braised beef, mignonette, pomme de, I love when they use pomme and then words I don't understand, but it looks very hearty, very delicious, and I want it. And the sauce looks delicious. It also has a fourth course, which is the dessert. They have a creme brulee, and they also have something else that looks, like hazelnuts and such. So I would go here just to have the beef bourguignon. That is exactly what I'd want, and that is essentially the reason I would go to Bar Bohem. I went there once before, and the cocktails were really, really good. But just, to give you an idea of how I kind of do the research for this. So the whole dinner, which is 4 courses, is $80. So, and by the way, like the first course is that, what is it called? The first course is that canapes. That's a rich Kraken chopped liver. If you can figure out where that is from, you guys get a round of applause and we'll give you a shout out. Speaking of which, Shout out Steve. Steve came up and said hello over at the concierge desk at Fountain Blue. Hello, Steve. I said that I was down here today. The reason because I'm usually up in the butler coordinator's office, because that's where I'm doing a lot of I'm assisting the office essentially. They needed another person to go up there, and I'm learning a lot, which is cool. So whenever I am down at concierge, it's always nice, and you caught me on the day that I was actually down there. So really nice to see you. So anyways, looking back at the Bar Bohem menu, they also have like items that you don't really see anywhere and like a nice price. So like they have like an ocean trout for $39. They have La Bella Farms duck, which is $46. You see a lot of duck on the strip, mostly in Chinese restaurants, not really in maybe in French cuisine, but not a lot of like other restaurants have duck. So kind of cool. It's a duck à l'orange for those of you wondering out there. That's $46. And then there's a gnocchi again. My dad would love this place. They have truffle, sweet pea, lemon gnocchi. Oh my God, my dad would die. So I'm still looking for it. Where's my beef bourguignon? Do they just not have it? I'm so sad. Did I miss it? Oh, they don't offer it. What do we do? Oh my goodness. That I am mad. Oh my goodness. That's so interesting. I thought I saw it. This is like, I have to go eat it. Like I have to go and I have to try this. Oh man. Yeah, I'm just reading it. Oh man, yeah, the ocean trout, duck, pork, bavette steak and frites, hamburger, creekstone beef, gnocchi. Wow. So yeah, I would have to go just to get this. Honestly, it's usually about $50 or $60. So if you think about it, $50 or $60, and then you get the second course, which is escargot, which is just say it's $15. So now we're at $75, and then you get a dessert. So now you're basically, and then you get the extra canapes, obviously. So it's essentially what you would pay, maybe a little bit less if you went just for a regular dinner. But you are getting a couple other items. But I would go just for the boeuf bourguignon, man. Oh my goodness. I'm mad about the menu. It's annoying. So with that being said, I would still go there and I would try the beef bourguignon. I would be just amazed. So as we move on, one spot that I think would actually be really, really good is Chica. So Chica, which is at the Venetian Hotel, they do Latin American cuisine, not specifically Mexican, not specifically anything else. It is specifically Latin American cuisine. So think Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, that sort of area of the world is what they specialize in. You can check us out on conciergeconfidential_LV and check out the Flaming Skull. That is the food from Chica, just in case you're interested in checking it out, or it's on TikTok as well at Keys to Vegas. So Chica, it's $40 for lunch. Their lunch courses have quite a few items. So let me actually just go through here. So I actually wrote a lot of them down, but I'm finding that I can go to them pretty quickly because it is alphabetical, which is very, very nice. Chica is just there. So for their lunch is $40. It's 3 courses. You can do an empanada, ceviche, or Caesar salad for their first course. You pick one. Their second course, you could do a Chica burger, tacos, Oaxacana chicken bowl. Very interesting. And then they also have matak mushrooms. Then we also have the third course, which has brunolos and tres leche. The lunch, not bad options. All good. Dinner is why you're coming here. Dinner has many, many choices. And this is another thing. When you look at the menus for First Friday, you want to have choices. Unless it's like a unicorn situation where they had that one thing that you wanted on the menu, you want to go places where they have like 3 or 4 options for their first, second, or third course. So each one has like 3 options. So their first course, you can do their hamachi, which is actually quite good. They also have a queso birria, empanadas. You can also do a chopped salad if you want to. And also, these are all single choices. Their second choice, they have Valenzuela braised short rib, which I've had, delicious. They also have a rotisserie chicken. They have fire roasted salmon, and then the mushrooms again. And then their third course, they have the tres leches or the churro con chocolate. So, not bad. Don't make fun of my accent. So, because it's terrible. The reason I would go here, for those of you visiting, for dinner, you get all of these items, so 3 courses, plus you get one specialty cocktail, which I've had some of their cocktails, and they are quite delicious. So I would highly recommend going to Chica because you are actually getting like a $25 cocktail added onto this for free. So basically, you are getting that specialty cocktail for free. So this dinner, definitely worth the price of admission in terms of what they have available. So really, really great. So this one, we're going to be going off the strip by just a tad. My mom actually wants to eat here when she comes back to Las Vegas. I think in July, we'll try to go there if we can't get into the Golden Steer. But she really wants to go to Lowry's Prime Rib. Yes, I know it is a chain. I totally get it. But if you like that old school Vegas-y charm, that sort of like 1960s style, like prime rib steakhouse, Lowry's is actually pretty good. It is really fantastic in terms of how they present the food, how the room actually looks. It's actually a standalone on Flamingo Road, and they have a $40 lunch option and an $80 lunch option. Essentially, everything at the lunch option is the same as dinner. They have less choices, especially like they don't have as many steaks on for lunch. But these are kind of the highlights. So the lunch is 40, the dinner is 80. So for Lowry's, I'll go to their menu for you. So I've eaten at Lowry's a couple times, and it's actually cool because at Lowry's you do get like sort of like all one price. So you basically pay, I think it's like $60 essentially. And you end up getting, lots of like a 3-course meal plus dessert, which is quite nice. So let's just go over it. So for dinner at Lowry's, this is what you have the choices of. It's 4 courses, which is always nice for an $80 dinner. This would include the famous original spinning salad. So this one they can switch out if you want to end up having like things you don't want in it and you want to add like ranch or something, you could totally do that. They have a house wedge. They also have a lobster bisque if you wanted to go with that. They do have their signature prime rib, which is delicious. You could ask for end cut like my mom does. It comes with mashed potatoes, Yorkshire pudding. This is where you also get like sort of like the extra bits here. So you do get the prime rib. Then you also get the potatoes and Yorkshire pudding. Then you also get the choice of a side. So this is actually not like another course. It's just like another side that you can get, which is a choice of creamed corn or spinach. My mom actually likes the spinach, and I love the creamed corn. And then you also get the dessert, which is a vanilla creme brulee or an English trifle, which is also really good. But you don't have to get the prime rib. They do have filet mignon and salmon Rockefeller. But come on, guys. We're at a prime rib joint. Let's get the prime rib. So $80 for their lunch, for their dinner, which is I would highly recommend. It looks really delicious. I would go there. So as we move down, another option, Lucchini, which is at the MGM Grand. We did a video for them as well. If you check out on any of our socials, concertsconfidential_LV, which also includes in that video the entrance to the Speakeasy, which is connected. It also has like a sign now, which is fun. So theirs is probably one of the best values. You get a $50 dinner. It's 3 courses. Some of the highlights, they have a meatball for the first course, or grandma's meatballs. They also have chicken parmesan for their second course, along with a couple other pastas, and then a cheesecake. Highly recommend Lucchini if you are looking for some place that has good value. Would highly recommend Lucchini's spot. Another one, if you want something a little bit more high-end, a lot of these end up being on the higher end, but this is what we're trying to do here. We have Ocean Prime, which is an $80 price tag. That is 3 courses. Some of the highlights for that, they have chicken, salmon, The salmon is a teriyaki salmon, I believe. The sea bass is a Chilean sea bass straight from Chile. It's so fun when someone told me that Chilean sea bass, not really from Chile, but man, Chile got some good branding out of their fish. So they do have a beef fillet, of course, 8 ounces, and their world famous 7-layer carrot cake. Or you can get their butter cake as well. I don't like carrot cake. Some people love it. I would go their butter cake instead. Beautiful room. I really love their first lounge. And you walk into it. It's a very long bar. Very, very dark. There's no TVs. It's very, again, very quiet. But then you sort of open up into Ocean Prime, the main dining room, which is absolutely wonderful. Just really, really beautiful on the inside. A lot of good choices. You have obviously salads. You can do something with seafood for their first course, but I think Ocean Prime actually is a pretty good value for that $80 price tag. So let's go over to Peter Luger's. Peter Luger's is located at Caesar's Palace. Again, we've done a review on them as well. They have an $80 4-course meal. They also do lunch for $40, but they usually have specials on for lunch anyways for their burger. I would just go for dinner instead. So beautiful bar, though. Really beautiful bar. Great bar for anybody who really enjoys whiskey cocktails. Peter Luger's has many, many whiskey cocktails to choose from, which is very hard to find. So Peter Luger's $80, 4 courses. It comes with a New York strip. It does not include the big giant plate. That would be something you'd have to purchase normally, which they don't offer for Restaurant Week. But a New York strip, not bad. They also can do a Caesar salad, of course, a wedge if you wanted to, and then obviously your choice of side with your steak. Which is potatoes, cream spinach, mushrooms. And then for dessert, they do have a couple different dessert options. Pretty straightforward, steakhouse style. I would say that $80 at Peter Luger's, not terrible. Something that you can go and have multiple different cuts of meat, and something that I would highly recommend as well. So as we're kind of going through my list, yes, Fontainebleau is participating in Restaurant Week. I've looked at all their menus 3 or 4 times already. I don't think it's worth going to Fontainebleau for Restaurant Week for the restaurants that they're offering. I don't know. Just not my thing. I'm not enjoying it. So Peter Luger's. There we go. So as we pull up the menu, they are offering sliced tomatoes and onions. I said this earlier. This is something I would never eat. Their second course is basically salads, so you can get a little gem salad, Caesar salad, Luger sizzling bacon, 1,000% worth it. They do have a shrimp cocktail, $80 supplemental charge, so added on to it. And then for the third course, I obviously mentioned their New York strip. They also have roasted chicken breast. They can do a lobster tail, $25 supplemental for the main course. You choose your side dish, obviously, and their fourth course, which is dessert, pecan pie, chocolate mousse, or a la mode for $5 supplemental. I just enjoy their schlag, which is basically just whipped cream. So as we make our way down, so we do have Water Grill. Water Grill, lots of choices for $100. I believe they have 3 or 4 courses. Oh my goodness, that was easier to find, so we'll just go down and find it. Water Grill, which the Water Grill is located at Caesar's Palace as well. For $100, you can get, there's 4 courses. You can do jumbo lump crab, oyster sampler, which my dad would get that, and then wild jumbo Mexican shrimp. That is your first course, one of those items. Their second course is a clam chowder, mixed greens, or Caesar salad. Things to choose from there. Their third course, this is where we get really interesting. Wild Pacific swordfish. They have Chilean sea bass again. They do have Mary's organic chicken. And then obviously for $7 extra, you can do their filet mignon for 8 ounces. And of course a dessert, which is New York style cheesecake, caramel bread pudding, or key lime pie. This is actually not a terrible value for having so many options. So the reason I put on the list is because so many choices to go from there. Just for funsies, I'm throwing this in there because it's right next to it, is Winnie and Ethel. Winnie and Ethel does offer a $30 brunch, which has many, many options. Their first course would be a cold brew, regular coffee, juice, basically your drink. Then you have your second course, which is their pancake flight, weekday breakfast, half a jam session, interesting, or half a club. Then, of course, your third course would be the sides. So buffalo potatoes, biscuits and gravy, mini loaded fries, and or shoestring fries. Essentially, the sides for the main course, which, I don't call it a jip, but this is basically what you would pay if you went alone and didn't participate in Restaurant Week. So, did I cover all of them? Let's see. Let's go check it out. We did Bar Bohem, Karma, Chica, Lowry's, Lucchini, Ocean Prime, Peter Luger's, Water Grill, and always, this is my favorite Restaurant Week spot, and that is Smith and Walensky at the Venetian. Smith and Walensky, they are probably one of my favorite restaurants. Like, it's crazy that a chain ends up being one of my favorites. But I believe they are charging $80 for their dinner. What did I say? Smith and Walensky. So the reason I say this is because I'm doing this alphabetical, so I'm finding Smith and Walensky in the chart, as it were. So they offer $80 for dinner, which comes with an iceberg lettuce or iceberg wedge, burrata, steak tartare, or confit bacon. You can also, from their second choice, get their filet mignon. You can also get their angry shrimp, their half chicken, their salmon, or their New York strip 16 ounces with Yukon Gold potatoes and asparagus. Oh boy. And that is a $10 supplemental charge, which I would gladly pay, making this dinner actually $90 for me. And then the third course is coconut cream cake or chocolate cake, which I love their chocolate cake. I actually die whenever I'm able to get my hands on their chocolate cake. It has a little thing of Bailey's in it. It is absolutely delicious. My favorite part about Smith & Walensky's, besides the like old school, like wooden oak New York vibe, is their phenomenal, super phenomenal chocolate cake. I've run through basically all the places that I am excited to try when Restaurant Week actually opens up. Obviously, look around. Sometimes you get really good deals, like for lunch. Lunch is probably where you make a killing for a lot of these places. But if you are coming to Vegas between the 1st and the 12th, make sure to just ask for the Restaurant Week menu, or if they are participating, you can make yourself feel good because you are helping towards a good cause. And overall, I think you're getting really good value because people always love that word value in Las Vegas. And this is your chance to get some. So with that being said, really appreciate you guys listening. It was a later recording today because I had to get all this stuff together. But thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe out there. And again, if you see me out in town, come up and say hello. But remember, keep it confidential.